Dividing fractions. You know, it's one of those things in math that just feels like it should be simple, but it can twist your brain into a pretzel. But what if I told you there's a golden rule? A single trick that turns even the most confusing fraction division into a simple multiplication problem you already know how to solve. Let's jump in.
So, let's start with a classic. Picture this. You have half a pizza, and you divide it by 2. You get a quarter of a pizza. Wait, what? How does dividing something make the number smaller than what you started with? It just feels like it breaks all the rules.
And look, if you're scratching your head right now, you are definitely not alone. This whole thing seems to fly in the face of everything we've learned about division. But here's the thing, the solution isn't about division at all. It's about a change in perspective, a little secret that unlocks everything.
And this secret? It's not some crazy complicated new formula you have to memorize. Nope. It's just one powerful idea that completely changes the game. And that idea is called the reciprocal.
So what is this fancy-sounding reciprocal? Well, the best part is how incredibly simple it is. You literally just flip the fraction upside down. The reciprocal of 3/4 is 4/3. For 1/2, it's 2/1. That's it. That's the whole concept.
And here is where it all clicks into place. Dividing by any number is the exact same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. Think about it for a second. Dividing something by 2 is the same as taking half of it, right? And of in math just means multiply. This one idea changes everything.
So how do we actually use this secret? Well, we've got a simple 3-step process that turns any confusing division problem into an easy-peasy multiplication one. We call it the golden rule. And all you have to remember are 3 letters, K, C, F. Just burn that into your brain. K, C, F. This is your key.
So what does KCF stand for? It stands for keep, change, flip. First, you keep the first fraction exactly as it is. Don't touch it. Then, you change the division sign to a multiplication sign. And finally, you flip the second fraction to its reciprocal. Keep, change, flip. It's like a magic formula. All right, theory's great and all, but let's see this thing in action. Let's put KCF to the test and watch how beautifully this works.
Okay, here's our first problem. 2/3 divided by 1/4. Yeah, looks a bit messy, doesn't it? But with KCF, this is a piece of cake.
So, let's just follow the rule. We keep the 2/3. We change the division sign to multiplication. We flip the 1/4 to become 4/3, and now, look at that. It's just a multiplication problem. 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 1 is 3. Our answer is 8/3. It really is that simple.
Okay, that was easy enough when you have 2 fractions. But what about dividing by a whole number? You know, like in our pizza problem from the beginning. Does KCF still work? Absolutely. Here's the trick. You just have to unmask that whole number. See it for what it really is, a fraction in disguise. Any whole number, any of them, can be written as itself over 1. So the number 3 is really just 3/1.
So once you've made that little change, the rest is easy. 1/2 divided by 3 becomes 1/2 divided by 3/1. Now we just hit it with keep, change, flip, and that gives us 1/2 times 1/3, which equals 1/6. Done. Okay, let's tackle one more common scenario that trips a lot of people up. Mixed numbers. You know, numbers like 1.5.
Now listen up, because before you even think about keep, change, flip, there is a crucial first step you cannot skip. You must convert any mixed numbers into improper fractions. For 1.5, that means you multiply 1 by 2, then add the 1 on top to get 3/2. Once you've done that conversion, it is smooth sailing. Our problem is now 3/2 divided by 1/4. We apply keep, change, flip, and we get 3/2 times 4/1. That's 12/2, which simplifies down to a nice, clean 6.
All right, to save you from some future headaches, let's quickly go over a few common traps. The biggest one, people flip the first fraction by accident. Remember, you keep that one safe. Also, don't forget to convert those mixed numbers first, and please make sure you flip before you multiply. If you can avoid these, you're golden.
So, after all that, what is the single most important thing to take away from this explainer? What is the big idea here? It's this. Division of fractions is just multiplication in disguise. Seriously, the moment you use KCF to flip that second fraction, you're not really dividing anymore. You're just solving a simple multiplication problem, something you already know how to do. The division part was just a mask.
It just goes to show you, sometimes the most complicated looking problems are actually pretty simple. if you can just find the right way to look at them. Which kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hard math problems out there are just a simple trick in disguise?